The moment the lights flickered and died in Terminal B, Mia Lawson felt it, a pull so violent in her chest that she dropped her coffee. The paper cup hit the floor, splashing hot liquid across her boots, but she couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Across the darkened airport, through hundreds of stranded passengers stumbling in the sudden blackness, a pair of amber eyes found hers in the chaos. And her wolf, her dormant, dead, gone for 5 years wolf, howled. Mia staggered backward, hand pressed to her sternum where something clawed and writhed beneath her ribs. No. That was impossible. She'd been tested. Poked and prodded and declared defective at 16 years old. Wolfless. The word had been stamped on her life like a brand, and her family had thrown her out with the trash. She didn't have a wolf. She couldn't have a wolf. The emergency lights hummed to life, casting everything in dim red. Mia blinked, and the amber eyes were gone. Just a trick of the darkness. Just her exhausted mind playing games after 18 hours of travel delays. She grabbed napkins from the coffee kiosk and mopped uselessly at her boots, hands shaking. Around her, the chaos of O'Hare continued, babies crying, travelers cursing, airline staff making announcements about the historic blizzard that had shut down every runway. Christmas Eve, and she was stuck in purgatory. Good, she thought bitterly. Fitting. She wasn't going home for the holiday anyway. She was going home to sign papers. To formally sever every tie with the Lawson pack and walk away from her birthright forever. Not that there was much to sever. Her parents had stopped calling 3 years ago. Her brother had blocked her number. She was already dead to them, now she just needed to make it legal. Mia found a quiet corner near Gate B12, away from the crying children and the arguing couples. She pulled out her worn paperback and tried to read, but the words blurred. That sensation in her chest had faded to a dull ache, but it was still there. Still wrong. She was so focused on ignoring it that she didn't notice him until he sat down. This seat taken? The voice was deep, smooth, and way too close. Mia looked up, into the face of the most unfairly attractive man she'd ever seen. Dark hair, sharp jaw, and eyes that were definitely brown. Not amber. Brown. She must have imagined the amber. Yes, she said flatly. It's taken. He raised an eyebrow. By who? My bag. Your bag's on the floor. Mia stared at him. He was dressed simply, dark jeans, a gray sweater that probably cost more than her rent, but everything about him screamed money. The watch on his wrist. The confidence in his posture. The way he looked at her like he had every right to her attention. She hated men like this. I don't know you, she said. There are 5,000 empty seats in this airport. Pick one. Something flickered in his expression. Not offense. Something closer to fascination. I'm Damien. I don't care. You're supposed to tell me your name now. I'm supposed to finish my book. Mia lifted it pointedly between them. He didn't leave. Instead, he leaned back in the seat, stretching long legs in front of him, and pulled out his phone. Like he planned to stay. Seriously? Mia snapped. Seriously. He didn't look up. The outlets work over here. I need to charge my phone. There are outlets everywhere. I like these outlets. Mia ground her teeth. She could move. She should move. But something, that same inexplicable pull that had nearly knocked her off her feet, kept her rooted in place. They sat in hostile silence for 20 minutes. Finally, Damien spoke again. Where are you heading? Before the blizzard stranded all of us? None of your business. Minneapolis, maybe? The accent's faint but it's there. Mia's jaw tightened. I don't have an accent. Everyone has an accent. He pocketed his phone and turned to face her fully. I'm from Wisconsin originally. We can always spot the Minnesota vowels. Lucky you. You're not going to ask where I'm heading? No. Chicago originally. Business meeting got cancelled. My sister's hosting Christmas at the family estate, so I figured I'd surprise her. He smiled, and it transformed his face from intimidating to almost boyish. She's going to be furious. She hates surprises. Mia didn't want to smile. She absolutely refused to smile. But her mouth twitched anyway. "Aha," Damien said softly. "There it is. There's nothing. You have a nice smile. You should use it more. You've known me for 20 minutes. Long enough to notice you haven't smiled once." His gaze moved over her face, searching. "What's in Minneapolis that's making you so miserable?" The question hit too close. Mia's walls slammed back up. "Family stuff. Not that it's any of your business." "Christmas family stuff?" "Severing ties family stuff." The words came out before she could stop them. Something about his steady attention made her want to confess things. Made her feel seen in a way that terrified her. "I was supposed to sign some papers tomorrow. Make everything official." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. They're not worth being sorry about." Damien was quiet for a moment. Then, "Where are you staying tonight?" "The airport hotels are already overbooked." Mia's stomach dropped. Her hotel reservation. She'd completely forgotten. She fumbled for her phone and found the notification she'd missed: reservation cancelled due to weather emergency. No charge applied. "We apologize for the inconvenience." "Damn it," she breathed. "That bad?" "My hotel just cancelled." Mia pressed her palms to her eyes. "This cannot be happening. Come home with me." Her hands dropped. "What?" "To my sister's." Damien said it casually, like he was offering to share a cab. "It's 3 hours north. Big house, plenty of guest rooms. Better than sleeping on an airport floor." Mia stared at him. "You're insane." "Probably. I'm not going home with a stranger. You said you have nowhere else to go." "I'll figure something out." "In a blizzard? On Christmas Eve?" He shook his head. "At least let me." "No." Mia stood, shoving her book in her bag. "I don't know what kind of women you're used to, but I'm not going anywhere with someone I just met. Thanks for the offer. Have a nice holiday." She walked away before he could respond. Her heart was pounding too hard. That pull in her chest was screaming at her not to leave, and that alone was reason enough to run. She wandered the terminal for an hour, checking every hotel app, calling every number. Nothing. The blizzard had paralyzed the entire city. She was standing in line for the last remaining coffee shop when she felt someone watching her. Not Damien. Someone else. The man was thin, pale, with watery eyes that tracked her every movement. He'd been sitting near gate B7 when she'd first arrived. He'd been in the bathroom hallway 20 minutes ago. And now he was here, 2 lines over, staring without blinking. Mia's skin crawled. She bought her coffee and walked quickly toward the main corridor, but the crowds had thinned as the night wore on. The overhead lights flickered again, the storm was battering the building, and when she glanced back, the man was following. She turned down a side hallway, looking for security, for anyone. "Lost?" The voice came from behind her. Too close. She spun, and the pale man was there, blocking the corridor, a smile spreading across his face that made her stomach turn. "Pretty thing like you shouldn't be alone," he said. "I've been watching. You've got no one to call, nowhere to go. I've got a car in the garage. We could keep each other warm. Back off." Mia's voice didn't shake. She'd dealt with men like this before. "I'll scream. No one's down here to hear you." He stepped closer. And then Damien was there. Mia didn't see where he came from. One moment the hallway was empty, and the next he stood between her and the pale man, shoulders tense, head lowered. And his eyes. His eyes flashed gold. Leave. The word came out as a growl, barely human. The pale man's face went white. He stumbled backward, nearly falling in his haste to flee, and then he was gone. Mia stood frozen, heart hammering. Damien turned slowly. His eyes were brown again. Just brown. Normal. Are you okay? He asked quietly. Your eyes, she whispered. Trick of the light. No. They were. The lights are flickering. He stepped closer, and every cell in her body urged her toward him. You're safe. That's what matters. Mia's phone buzzed. She looked down at the unknown number, grateful for the distraction, and answered. Hi. A woman's voice, bright and warm. Please don't hang up, I'm Lily, Damien's sister. He texted that he's stranded with the most stubborn woman alive, and I had to call. I'm hosting Christmas and we have 6 empty guest rooms. Please come. I promise we're not serial killers. That's exactly what serial killers say. Lily laughed. Fair point. Look, I can send you my social media, my college roommate's number, whatever you need. It's a real invitation. No strings. Just a woman who hates the idea of anyone being alone on Christmas. Mia looked at Damien. He was watching her with that same intense focus, something vulnerable beneath the confident surface. She didn't trust him. She didn't trust anyone. But staying in this airport, with that man lurking somewhere in the terminal, with nowhere to sleep. Okay, she heard herself say. Fine. One night. In the car, once Mia had dozed off in the passenger seat, Damien pulled out his phone. His fingers were steady, but his wolf was clawing at him, demanding he touch her, protect her, claim her. He typed quickly. I found her. Tell no one. Something's wrong, she doesn't know what she is. Chapter 2. The snow came down like a white curtain, so thick Mia could barely see past the hood of Damien's SUV. The windshield wipers fought a losing battle, and the headlights illuminated nothing but an endless swirl of white. They'd been driving for 3 hours, and the world had narrowed to this: the warm leather interior, the soft hum of the heater, and the man beside her who made her feel things she didn't want to name. You should sleep, Damien said. We've got at least 3 more hours. I don't sleep around strangers. We've known each other for 6 hours now. That's practically a lifetime in airport terms. Mia snorted despite herself. She was exhausted, wrung out from travel delays and emotional whiplash and whatever the hell had happened in that corridor. She'd convinced herself she'd imagined the gold in his eyes. Stress and fear and flickering lights. Nothing more. But her chest still ached. And every time Damien's hand moved on the steering wheel, she found herself tracking the motion like prey watching a predator. Tell me something, she said suddenly. Something real. If I'm going to spend Christmas with your family, I should know more than your first name. Damien was quiet for a moment. The snow swirled. The SUV's tires crunched through the accumulation on the highway, and somewhere behind them, the rest of the world disappeared. My father died when I was 24, he said finally. Heart attack. He was at his desk, working late, and by the time anyone found him. He shook his head. I inherited the company. And everything else. Everything else? Family obligations. Expectations. People who wanted pieces of me before I'd even finished grieving. His jaw tightened. There's a certain kind of vulture that circles when someone dies. They wear nice suits and offer condolences, but they're really calculating what they can take. Mia knew that feeling. She'd been 16 when she was cast out, and the pack members who'd smiled at her for years suddenly looked through her like she didn't exist. The parents who'd invited her to sleepovers told their daughters to stay away. Defective. Wolfless. Contagious, some whispered, as if her condition might spread. My mother used to cry when she looked at me, Mia heard herself say. After the diagnosis. She'd just start crying. Like I'd died, but she still had to see my body walking around. Damien's hands flexed on the wheel. That's not something a child should carry. I wasn't a child. I was 16. You were a child. His voice was firm, certain. And she failed you. No one had ever said that before. Not once in 10 years of building a life from nothing, of working 3 jobs through college, of proving she was worth something even without the wolf that should have been her birthright. Everyone had always framed it as a tragedy that happened to her family. Poor Lawsons, stuck with a broken daughter. How embarrassing. How shameful. Never, poor Mia, abandoned by the people who were supposed to love her unconditionally. She's still my mother, Mia said, but the words came out weak. Biology doesn't earn loyalty. Actions do. Damien glanced at her, something fierce in his expression. You don't owe them anything, Mia. Whatever papers you were going to sign, don't do it for them. Do it for yourself. Because you deserve to be free of people who couldn't see your worth. Her throat tightened. She looked away, blinking hard at the snow-covered fields rolling past. Your turn, she managed. Something real. I gave you childhood trauma, you give me something equivalent. His laugh was low, surprised. Fair enough. He was quiet for a moment, considering. There's a woman named Serena. Her father and mine were business partners. Close allies. When my father died, Serena's father expected me to marry her. Merge our interests. Consolidate power. And? I refused. Simple. Final. I told him I wouldn't marry anyone I didn't love. He's been making my life difficult ever since. So you're a romantic. I'm a realist. Marriage to the wrong person is a prison sentence. I've seen it destroy people. His eyes cut to her briefly. I'd rather be alone than trapped with someone who sees me as a strategic asset. Mia thought about the men she'd dated over the years. The ones who'd wanted her to be smaller, quieter, less difficult. The ones who'd left when they realized she came with no family, no connections, no pack affiliation to boost their status. Alone isn't so bad, she said quietly. No, Damien agreed. But it's not enough either. They drove on. The hours blurred together, punctuated by gas station stops and terrible vending machine coffee and conversations that flowed easier than they should have. Damien told her about his sister Elena, who ran the family foundation and terrorized anyone who didn't meet her standards. About his younger brother Marcus, who was finding himself in Europe and probably wouldn't make it home for Christmas. About the estate in Wisconsin, where he'd spent every childhood summer, where his father had taught him to fish and his mother had taught him to dance. Mia found herself sharing things she never talked about. The tiny apartment she'd rented at 18, working nights at a diner to pay for community college. The scholarship that had changed everything, opening doors to a real university, a real career. Her job now at a Seattle marketing firm, small but growing, where she'd finally built something that was hers. You did all that alone? Damien asked. Who else was going to do it? He shook his head slowly. You're remarkable. I'm a survivor. There's a difference. No, he said firmly. There's not. The Cross estate emerged from the storm like something out of a Gothic novel. Mia had expected wealth. She hadn't expected this. A sprawling stone mansion that seemed to grow from the forested hills, surrounded by outbuildings and covered walkways, smoke rising from at least 6 chimneys. Even through the blizzard, she could see the glow of lights from dozens of windows, and shadows moving inside. You said family estate, she said faintly. This is a castle. It's been in the family for generations. My great-great-grandfather was successful. Successful is a yacht. This is a small country. Damien laughed, and the sound warmed something in her chest. Wait until you see the inside. He pulled up to the main entrance, where massive wooden doors were already opening. A woman appeared on the threshold, backlit by golden light, tall, dark-haired, with Damien's sharp features and an expression that could have cut glass. "Elena," Damien said. "Try to be nice." "I'm always nice." He snorted. "You made the caterer cry last year." He deserved it. The beef was overcooked. They got out of the car, and the cold hit Mia like a wall. Elena's gaze swept over her, assessing, cataloging. For a moment, something flickered in her expression: surprise, confusion, and then a flash of something Mia couldn't identify. Then Elena smiled, and it transformed her entire face. "You must be Mia." She stepped forward, ignoring the snow, and took both of Mia's hands in hers. "Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Damien never brings anyone home. I literally just met him 6 hours ago. And yet here you are. That tells me everything I need to know." Elena squeezed her hands before releasing them. "Come inside. You're freezing. I'll have someone bring your bags." The interior of the house was even more overwhelming than the exterior. Mia walked through a grand foyer with vaulted ceilings and a Christmas tree that had to be 20 feet tall, its branches dripping with lights and ornaments that looked older than her grandmother. Evergreen garlands lined every banister, and candles flickered in windows, and somewhere deeper in the house, she could hear music and laughter. "How many people are here?" she asked. "Just family," Elena said. "That doesn't answer my question." "About 40. Give or take." 40. Mia had thought this was a small Christmas gathering. Damien hadn't mentioned she'd be walking into a full-scale family reunion. Before she could say anything, they emerged into a great room filled with people. Conversation stopped. 40 pairs of eyes turned toward her, and Mia's instincts screamed predator even as her rational mind insisted they were just wealthy eccentrics surprised by an unexpected guest. Then the touching started. A middle-aged woman approached first, all warmth and smiles, and clasped Mia's arm while leaning in close. "Welcome, dear. I'm Damien's Aunt Margaret. We're so happy to have you." Before Mia could respond, someone else appeared at her other side. A young man with Damien's coloring, pressing a kiss to her cheek that brought his nose suspiciously close to her hair. "Cousin James. Pleasure." And then another. And another. An endless parade of relatives who touched her hands, her shoulders, her arms, who smiled too widely and inhaled a little too deeply when they greeted her. Mia looked desperately at Damien, who appeared at her side and placed a protective hand on her lower back. The touches immediately stopped. The relatives retreated with knowing smiles. "Sorry," he murmured. "They're enthusiastic. They're weird." "That too." Elena materialized again. "I'll show you to your room. You must be exhausted." She linked her arm through Mia's like they were old friends. "We've put you in the East Wing. It's quieter there. You'll have privacy." The East Wing turned out to be a long corridor of what looked like guest suites, each door carved with intricate woodland scenes. Elena stopped at one near the end. "This is you. The bathroom connects to the suite next door, but don't worry, Damien won't bother you." Mia blinked. "Damien? This is his wing." Elena's smile was innocent. Too innocent. It was the only room available on such short notice. "I hope that's not a problem." A shared bathroom. With the man who made her wolf, her dead wolf, howl for the first time in 5 years. "It's fine," Mia said, because what else could she say? The room was beautiful. A 4-poster bed with velvet curtains, a fireplace already crackling with warmth, windows overlooking the snow-covered forest. Her bag had already been delivered, set neatly on a luggage rack. Fresh flowers sat on the nightstand, and a silk robe was draped across the foot of the bed. It was perfect. It was too perfect. And Mia couldn't shake the feeling that she'd walked into something far bigger than a wealthy family's Christmas. She took a hot shower, carefully locking the bathroom door on Damien's side, and crawled into bed, certain she was too wound up to sleep. She was wrong. The snow crunched beneath her paws. She was running, no, flying, through a winter forest, her body low and fast and powerful. The cold didn't touch her. Nothing touched her. She was pure speed, pure joy, pure instinct. A presence ran beside her. She didn't need to look to know he was there. A massive black wolf, his shoulder level with her own, his stride perfectly matched to hers. Her mate. Her other half. The piece that had been missing for so long she'd forgotten she was incomplete. They burst through the trees into a moonlit clearing, and she threw back her head and howled. The sound tore from her chest like something breaking free, like chains shattering, like a door finally opening after years of being locked. Mia woke gasping. Her hands clawed at her sternum, where something burned. Not an ache. Not a pull. Actual fire, like someone had reached inside her chest and ignited her bones. She stumbled out of bed, desperate for air, and caught sight of herself in the mirror above the dresser. Her eyes were silver. Not brown. Not amber. Silver, blazing like moonlight, like something ancient and wild and completely impossible. She blinked. They were brown again. No, she whispered. No, no, no. She was losing her mind. The stress of the trip, the strange family, the way Damien looked at her like she was something precious, it was all messing with her head. She was wolfless. She'd been tested. This wasn't real. But her chest still burned, and when she pressed her hand to her heart, she could have sworn she felt something pressing back. Downstairs, Damien stood at his study window, watching the snow fall, when the door opened without a knock. He knew who it was before he turned. Only one person would dare enter his private space unannounced. Victor. His uncle stepped into the firelight, tall, silver-haired, with the cold eyes of a predator who'd never lost a hunt. Victor Cross had been his father's younger brother, his closest advisor, and since his death, a constant thorn in Damien's side. I came as soon as I heard. Victor's voice was smooth. Pleasant. Wrong. A guest for Christmas. How unexpected. It was a last-minute invitation. So I gathered. Victor moved closer, and Damien's wolf bristled. The whole house is talking about her. The mysterious woman who makes our alpha's eyes glow gold in crowded airports. Damien kept his expression neutral. She's human. A stranded traveler. Nothing more. Is that so? Victor smiled, and it didn't reach his eyes. Then why does the entire pack send a mate bond? Why is Elena hiding all evidence of what we are? Why did I drive 6 hours through a blizzard the moment I caught wind of your little house guest? Because you can't resist an opportunity to meddle. Because I recognize the scent on that girl. Victor stepped closer, dropping his voice. Do you know what she is, nephew? Do you have any idea what you brought into our home? Damien's wolf surged forward, and he felt his eyes flash gold. Explain. That woman isn't human. She isn't wolfless. She's... A scream tore through the house. They moved at the same time, wolf speed carrying them through corridors and up staircases, toward the east wing, toward the sound of a woman in agony. Doors burst open along the way, Elena, Margaret, James, half the pack flooding behind them. They found her in the hallway outside her room. Mia was on her knees, convulsing, her body arching at impossible angles. Silver light poured from her eyes, her mouth, her fingertips, blinding, ancient, powerful. Her skin rippled like water, bones cracking and reforming, trying to become something it had forgotten how to be. Get back. Damien roared, dropping to his knees beside her, pulling her into his arms despite the light that burned his skin. Mia. Mia, look at me. Look at me. Her eyes found his, silver, wild, terrified. It hurts, she gasped. Something's trying to get out. Her body convulsed again, and another scream ripped from her throat, and the silver light exploded outward, shattering every window in the corridor. And then, silence. Mia went limp in Damien's arms, the light fading, her body human and whole and still. Behind him, Victor spoke into the shocked quiet, his voice cold with something that might have been fear. A dormant ancient, he whispered. Gods help us all. Chapter 3. Mia drifted in darkness. She was aware of voices, distant, muffled, urgent, but couldn't reach them. Her body felt like it belonged to someone else, heavy and strange and wrong. Sometimes she heard Damien, his voice rough with something that might have been fear. Sometimes she heard others arguing, words like impossible and dangerous and she shouldn't exist floating through the void. She dreamed of silver light. Of running through snow. Of a woman with her face standing at the edge of a frozen lake, whispering, "Wake up. It's time to wake up. They can't hide you anymore." 12 hours after she collapsed, Mia opened her eyes. The ceiling above her was unfamiliar, dark wood beams, flickering candlelight, the smell of pine and something medicinal. She tried to sit up and her body screamed in protest, every muscle aching like she'd run a marathon and then been hit by a truck. Easy. Damien's voice came from beside her, and then his hands were there, gentle on her shoulders, easing her back against the pillows. Don't try to move yet. You've been through something significant. Mia blinked at him. He looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, stubble shadowing his jaw, his expensive sweater wrinkled like he'd slept in it. Or hadn't slept at all. What happened? Her voice came out as a croak. What do you remember? She closed her eyes, trying to piece together the fragments. The dream. The burning in her chest. The silver light that had poured from her like something escaping. I was changing. Something was trying to get out. Yes. And my eyes, she reached up to touch her face, suddenly terrified. In the mirror, they were silver. Yes. Mia's heart hammered. She looked around the room for the first time and realized they weren't alone. Elena stood by the window, arms crossed, expression unreadable. An older woman with kind eyes and gray-streaked hair sat in a chair nearby, a medical bag at her feet. And in the corner, watching with cold intensity, was the silver-haired man she'd glimpsed before she collapsed. Who are all these people? Mia demanded. What is this? What's happening to me? Damien exchanged a look with Elena. Something passed between them, a silent conversation Mia couldn't follow. Tell me. Her voice shook with more than weakness now. I deserve to know what's wrong with me. Nothing is wrong with you. Damien took her hand, and she was too exhausted to pull away. Mia, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound insane. But I need you to listen. All of it. And then you can ask questions. Just tell me. He took a breath. Werewolves exist. We're real. Everyone in this house, everyone at this estate, is a wolf. I'm the alpha of this pack, one of the largest in North America. And you. He squeezed her hand. You're one of us. You always have been. Someone suppressed your wolf when you were a child, locked it away so deep you couldn't feel it. But it's been there all along. And now it's waking up. Mia stared at him. The silence stretched. And then the rage hit. Get out. Mia. Get out. She yanked her hand free, struggling to sit up despite the pain. This is insane. You're insane. Werewolves don't exist. I'm not, I was tested. Doctors examined me for months. They said there was nothing there. No wolf. No connection. Nothing. The doctors were wrong. Or they were lying. Oh, so there's a massive conspiracy now? My whole pack just decided to pretend I was broken? The fury burned through her exhaustion, giving her strength. Do you have any idea what they put me through? The shame? The isolation? My own mother couldn't look at me without crying. And you're telling me it was all, what? A cover-up? Yes. It was Elena who spoke, stepping forward. Mia, I know how this sounds. But everything Damien is telling you is true. We can prove it. Prove it? How do you prove werewolves are? Elena's eyes flashed gold. Not a trick of the light. Not stress or exhaustion. Her irises shifted from brown to bright, burning amber, slit-pupilled like an animal's. Her face rippled, bones shifting beneath the skin, and for just a moment, Mia saw the wolf lurking beneath the human mask. Then Elena blinked, and she was normal again. Mia couldn't breathe. We're wolves, Elena said quietly. All of us. And so are you. The room spun. Mia pressed her hands to her face, trying to think, trying to make sense of a world that had just shattered and reformed into something unrecognizable. Wolves. Her entire life, she'd been told she was defective, broken, wolfless. She'd built her identity around that wound, around being the girl who lost everything before she was old enough to understand why. And now she was supposed to believe it was all a lie. The silver eyes. Her voice came out strangled. What does that mean? The silver-haired man stepped forward, and something in his expression made Mia's skin crawl. It means you're not just any wolf. It means you're something that was supposed to be extinct. Victor. Damien's voice held a warning. She asked for the truth. Victor's smile was thin, cold. The silver eyes mark you as a Linares, girl. A direct descendant of the original wolves. The ones blessed by the moon goddess herself at the dawn of our kind. The Linares were the most powerful wolves in existence. They could command others with a thought, heal mortal wounds, see the future in moonlight. They were gods among wolves. Mia repeated. They were hunted to extinction centuries ago. The other packs feared their power, envied it, wanted to control it. The Linares were slaughtered, their bloodlines exterminated, every trace of them erased from history. Victor's eyes gleamed. Or so we thought. It seems one line survived. Hidden. Suppressed. And now, here you are. Mia felt the blood drain from her face. That's impossible. I'm nobody. I'm just. You're the last Linares. Victor stepped closer, and Damien moved between them, shoulders tense. Do you understand what that means? The power inside you, once fully awakened, could reshape the entire wolf world. Every alpha, every pack, every political structure we've built over centuries. You could destroy it all. Or control it. I don't want to control anything. It doesn't matter what you want. It matters what you are. Enough. Damien's voice cut through the room like a blade. Victor, back off. Now. I'm simply explaining. You're terrifying her, and I won't allow it. Damien turned to Mia, his expression softening. There's more you need to know. About your pack. About why they did what they did. Mia's stomach dropped. What about them? It was the older woman. The doctor, who spoke, her voice gentle. Child, the wolves who suppressed your power, they weren't trying to hurt you. They were trying to save your life. By abandoning me? By making me think I was broken? By hiding you. The doctor leaned forward. Think about what Victor just said. The Linares were hunted. Exterminated. Anyone discovered to carry that bloodline was killed, or worse, captured and bred like livestock, their children harvested for power. Your pack knew what you were. They knew if anyone found out, you would be hunted. So they locked your wolf away, cast you out, made you seem as human as possible. They made you invisible. Mia's vision blurred. My mother knew. Your entire pack knew. And they just let me think I was defective. Let me hate myself. Let me spend 10 years believing I was nothing. The tears came hot and fast, and she couldn't stop them. They could have told me. They could have explained. Instead, they threw me away like garbage and let me suffer. They made a choice, Damien said quietly. I'm not saying it was the right one. But they thought they were protecting you. They were protecting themselves. Mia's voice cracked. They were afraid. So they sacrificed me. And now you're telling me I'm supposed to feel grateful? No one answered. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Mia wiped her eyes with shaking hands, trying to process everything. The wolves, the bloodline, the fact that her entire life had been built on a foundation of lies and fear. What happens now? She finally asked. Victor stepped forward again. Now we contact the Wolf Council. The Linares bloodline is too dangerous to. No. Damien's voice was absolute. Damien, be reasonable. The council will find out eventually. Better we bring her to them voluntarily then. I said no. Damien turned, and his eyes blazed gold. Not a flash. A sustained burn, alpha power radiating from him in waves. Mia is under my protection. She is my fated mate. Anyone who tries to take her, council, hunters, anyone, goes through me first. The room went still. Victor's expression flickered, surprise, then calculation, then something cold and hard. You would risk war with the council over one woman? In a heartbeat. The pack won't support you. Half of them are terrified of what she represents. Then half of them can leave. Elena stepped forward, positioning herself beside her brother. The other half will stand with Damien. Including me. Mia stays. Victor looked between them, and something ugly passed over his face. You're making a mistake. Both of you. The council doesn't negotiate. They don't show mercy. When they find out what she is. They won't find out. Damien's voice was ice. Not from anyone in this room. Not from anyone in this pack. And if they do. He stepped closer to Victor, and despite his uncle's height, Victor actually flinched back. I'll know exactly who to blame. The threat hung in the air. Victor held his ground for a long moment. Then he turned and walked out, the door slamming behind him. The hours that followed were a blur of information and overwhelm. The doctor, Margaret, and to Damien and apparently the pack's primary healer, insisted on examining Mia thoroughly. Her wolf was still unstable, Margaret explained, half awakened after decades of suppression. It would take time for the full transformation to be safe. Elena brought food and clothes and answered Mia's endless questions with patience that seemed foreign to her sharp personality. Damien stayed close, a constant presence, and Mia found herself leaning into his steadiness despite everything screaming that she shouldn't trust him. She shouldn't trust anyone. By late afternoon, Mia was alone in her room, staring out the window at the endless white expanse of snow. The blizzard had stopped, but the world felt just as cold and hostile. A knock came at the door. Come in, she said, expecting Damien or Elena. Instead, a woman she'd never seen entered, beautiful, with dark hair and sharp features, wearing a silk dress that probably cost more than Mia's entire wardrobe. She moved with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no in her life. You must be Mia. The woman closed the door behind her. I'm Serena. Victor's daughter. Mia tensed. I know who you are. I'm sure you've heard terrible things. I'm the woman Damien was supposed to marry. The political alliance his uncle has been pushing for years. Serena crossed to the window, standing beside Mia but keeping a careful distance. I'm supposed to be your enemy. Are you? No. Serena's voice dropped. I need to tell you something, and we don't have much time. My father has already contacted the Wolf Council. Hunters are being dispatched as we speak. The blood drained from Mia's face. Victor said he wouldn't. My father lies. It's what he does best. Serena turned to face her, and there was something fierce in her expression. I never wanted to marry Damien. That was my father's ambition, not mine. I've been working against him for years, feeding information to a resistance group that protects Linares descendants. There are others. Other Linares? A handful. Hidden across the world, suppressed like you were. We've been trying to find them before the council does. Serena gripped Mia's arm. Listen to me. The hunters are coming, but that's not the worst of it. My father isn't working alone. He's contacted your birth pack. Offered them a deal. Mia's heart stopped. What deal? Territory. Status. Protection. In exchange for documentation of your bloodline and testimony about what you are. Serena's eyes were dark with urgency. Your mother agreed, Mia. Your entire pack is coming here to testify against you. On Christmas Day. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. Her mother, the woman who'd cried when she looked at her, who'd supposedly suppressed her wolf to protect her, was coming here to hand her over to people who wanted her dead or enslaved? You're lying. I wish I were. The door burst open. Damien stood in the doorway, his face ashen, and Mia knew before he spoke that Serena had been telling the truth. Mia. His voice was rough with fury and something else, something that might have been fear. The council hasn't just sent hunters. They've made contact with the Lawson pack. Your mother. He stopped, swallowed hard. She's accepted their terms. They're mobilizing tonight. They'll be here by morning. Mia stared at him as the last illusion she'd held about her family shattered. Her own mother was coming to destroy her. On Christmas Day. Chapter 4. Christmas morning dawned cold and clear, the blizzard's fury spent, leaving behind a world blanketed in pristine white. From her window, Mia watched the sun rise over the frozen landscape and felt nothing. She hadn't slept. How could she? Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her mother's face, not the cold, distant mask of her memories, but the woman who had supposedly loved her enough to destroy her life in order to save it. She didn't know which version was worse. They're here. Damien's voice came from the doorway. Mia didn't turn. She'd known he was there before he spoke, felt his presence like a warmth at her back. The mate bond, Elena had called it. An unbreakable connection between fated pairs. Another thing Mia hadn't asked for and couldn't escape. How many? She asked. 25. Your mother, father, and sister. The rest are pack elders and witnesses. He crossed to stand beside her, close but not touching. You don't have to face them alone. Yes, I do. Mia. This is between me and them. She finally looked at him, and something in her expression made him flinch. Whatever happens after, whatever we have to face with the council, I need to do this first. I need to look them in the eye and make them see what they did to me. Damien held her gaze for a long moment. Then he nodded. I'll be right outside. The moment you need me. I know. She dressed carefully, choosing clothes Elena had provided. Dark jeans, a soft gray sweater, boots that could handle snow. Nothing special. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just wanted armor, and this was the best she had. The great room had been transformed since last night. The massive Christmas tree still glittered in the corner, but the warm family gathering had been replaced by something colder. Damien's pack lined the walls, silent and watchful. And at the center of the room, standing in a tight cluster like prey surrounded by predators, was her family. Her mother looked older than Mia remembered. The dark hair was streaked with gray now, the face more lined, the shoulders curved with a weight that hadn't been there before. Beside her stood Mia's father, a man who had barely spoken to her even before the rejection, his expression as unreadable as ever. And behind them, perfect and whole and everything Mia had never been allowed to be. Her sister Lily. Lily had been 11 when Mia was cast out. A child, really. Not responsible for any of it. But she'd gotten to stay. She'd gotten to shift, to run with the pack, to have the life that should have been Mia's. And looking at her now, tall and beautiful and radiating the confidence of someone who'd never doubted her place in the world, Mia felt the old wound tear open fresh. Mia. Her mother stepped forward, hands outstretched. Baby, please. Don't. The word came out sharp enough to cut. Don't call me that. Don't act like you have any right to touch me. Her mother's hands dropped. Tears welled in her eyes. I know you're angry. Angry? Mia laughed, and the sound was ugly. I'm not angry. Angry is what I was at 16 when you told me I was defective. Angry is what I was at 18 when you didn't show up to my high school graduation. Angry is what I felt every full moon for 10 years, crying alone in my apartment while everyone I grew up with ran together under the stars. She stepped closer, and her mother actually flinched back. What I am now is beyond angry. I don't think there's a word for it. We had no choice. Her father spoke for the first time, his voice rough. You have to understand. I don't have to understand anything. You made choices. Every single day for 10 years, you made the choice not to tell me the truth. You let me believe I was broken. Do you have any idea what that does to a person? To spend a decade thinking there's something fundamentally wrong with you? We were protecting you. Her mother's voice cracked. The suppression spell was the only way to hide what you are. If anyone had found out, then you should have told me. Mia's voice rose, echoing off the vaulted ceiling. You could have explained. You could have let me make my own choice. Instead, you took everything from me and called it love. You were 16. A child. How could we ask you to live your whole life in hiding, knowing what you'd lost? Her mother was crying openly now. We thought, if you didn't know, if you really believed you were human, you could have a normal life. A safe life. You could fall in love, have children, grow old without ever looking over your shoulder. I couldn't have any of those things. The words ripped from Mia's chest. I couldn't maintain a relationship because I always felt like something was missing. I couldn't connect with anyone because I didn't even know who I was. You didn't give me a normal life, you gave me a half-life. An existence built on lies. Lily stepped forward. Mia, I know I don't have the right to say anything, but you're right. You don't. Her sister recoiled like she'd been slapped. Mia knew she should feel guilty. Lily hadn't done anything wrong. But looking at her, whole and complete and so goddamn lucky, made everything hurt worse. I mourned you, Mia said quietly. Every birthday, every holiday, every milestone, I mourned the sister I lost. And you got to forget about me. You got to grow up happy and loved and normal while I scraped together a life from nothing. I didn't forget. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. I asked about you all the time. They told me you were happy. That you'd found a good life in Seattle. That contacting you would put you in danger. Tears streamed down her face. I wanted to reach out so many times, but they said. They lied to you too. The realization hit Mia like a punch. They told you I was fine, and they told me you'd all moved on. Everyone protecting everyone else with lies. Her mother reached for her again. Mia, please. We were trying to keep you alive. The council has hunted our kind for centuries. When you were born and we realized what you were. The midwife wanted to kill you immediately. She said it was a mercy. We had to suppress your wolf that same night, before anyone else could sense it. We've spent 26 years waiting for this day, praying it would never come. Well. Mia's voice was hollow. It came. And you're here to testify against me. To hand me over to the people who want to breed me like livestock or kill me as a threat. Some protection. We had no choice. Her father's composure finally cracked. The council threatened the entire pack. Every man, woman, and child would be slaughtered if we didn't cooperate. What were we supposed to do? You could have warned me. You could have told Damien's pack what was coming instead of showing up to condemn your own daughter. Mia looked at them, really looked, and saw them for what they were, scared, weak people who'd made impossible choices and justified them with love. You've had 10 years to find another way. You just didn't want to try hard enough. Before anyone could respond, the main doors burst open. Cold air swept through the room, and with it came a presence that made every wolf in the building stiffen. The man who entered was ancient, not in appearance, but in the weight of years that hung around him like a shroud. Tall, silver-haired, with pale eyes that held no warmth, he moved through the crowd like a blade through water. Marcus. Damien appeared at Mia's side, his voice tight with controlled fury. You're early. I see no reason for delay. Marcus's gaze swept the room, dismissing everyone, until it landed on Mia. Something flickered in his expression, hunger, maybe, or calculation. So. This is the Linares child. I expected something more impressive. And I expected the council to have basic manners, Mia shot back. Looks like we're both disappointed. Marcus smiled, and it was the coldest thing she'd ever seen. Spirit. Good. You'll need it for what comes next. He turned to address the room. The Wolf Council has determined that the emergence of a Linares bloodline represents an unacceptable threat to the stability of our kind. As such, the female known as Mia Lawson is hereby given 2 options. The room went silent. Option 1, submit willingly to council authority. You will be relocated to a secure facility, where your bloodline will be carefully managed. Breeding with approved partners will ensure your power is diluted over generations, eventually eliminating the Linares threat entirely. Mia's stomach heaved. Option 2, be declared an enemy of wolf kind and executed immediately. Marcus clasped his hands behind his back, calm as if discussing the weather. The choice is yours. You have 5 minutes. She chooses neither. Damien stepped forward, positioning himself between Mia and Marcus. I invoke the right of formal dispute. As alpha of this pack and as her fated mate, I claim the privilege to fight for her freedom. A ripple went through the crowd. Marcus raised an eyebrow. The formal dispute. How quaint. He actually laughed, a dry, humorless sound. Young Alpha, do you know how many of your kind I've killed? 37. Some of them twice your age, with centuries of experience. You would be dead before you landed a single blow. Then it should be an easy victory for you. Damien, no. Mia grabbed his arm, pulling him around to face her. You've known me for 4 days. I won't let you die for someone you just met. You're my mate. I'm a stranger. Her voice broke. You don't even know my middle name. You don't know my favorite color or what music I like or any of the million little things that make a relationship real. This isn't love, it's biology. A bond you didn't choose. She released him, stepping back. I won't be responsible for your pack losing their alpha on Christmas. She turned to Marcus. If I accept your terms, the breeding program, my family goes free? The Lawson pack faces no consequences? Mia, don't. Her mother's voice was anguished. Marcus smiled. I can guarantee their safety. Once you're in council custody, they become irrelevant. Mia closed her eyes. She thought about the life she'd built in Seattle. The apartment she'd never see again. The career she'd worked so hard for. The friends who would wonder what happened to her. All of it, gone. But at least. No. The voice erupted inside her skull, ancient and furious and absolutely hers. I will not submit. I will not be used. I am Linares. I am the blood of the moon herself. And I bow to No1. The shift hit her like a lightning strike. Pain exploded through every cell of her body, but it wasn't like before, chaotic, terrifying, incomplete. This was transformation. This was becoming. Her bones sang as they restructured, her muscles flowing like water into a new form, her skin rippling and shifting as fur erupted across every inch of her. She heard screaming, her own, she realized distantly, but it was drowned out by the howl that tore from her throat as she completed the change. When it was over, Mia stood on 4 legs. But she wasn't an ordinary wolf. She was massive, twice the size of any wolf she'd seen, even in pictures. Her fur was pure white, gleaming like fresh snow, and across her flanks and face, silver markings glowed with their own inner light. She could feel power thrumming through her, ancient and vast, connected to something beyond this room, beyond this world. The moon. She could feel the moon, even in daylight, singing in her blood. And every wolf in the room, including Marcus, dropped to their knees. Not by choice. She could see them fighting it, muscles straining, faces contorted with shock and fear. But their bodies didn't care what their minds wanted. Something deeper had taken over, something written into the very foundation of what they were. The Linares bloodline didn't just survive. It commanded. Stand up. She directed the thought at Damien, and he rose, eyes wide with awe. The rest of you, stay. They stayed. Marcus was shaking, his ancient composure finally cracked. This is impossible. The Linares haven't manifested a true form in 500 years. Silence. He went silent. Mia padded forward, her massive form moving with a grace she'd never possessed as a human. She stopped directly in front of Marcus, close enough to feel his fear like heat radiating off his skin. When she spoke, her voice came from everywhere and nowhere, not sound, but meaning, pressed directly into every mind in the room. You offer me submission or death. I offer you something different. A trial of truth. Marcus's face went pale. That right hasn't been invoked in centuries. I know. But it still holds. The moon goddess judges both parties. If your cause is righteous, if your intentions toward me are pure, you have nothing to fear. She bared her teeth in what might have been a smile. Do you, Marcus? Have nothing to fear? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The terror in his eyes said everything. I thought not. Mia stepped back, releasing her hold on him. Go. Tell your council what you've seen today. Tell them the Linares bloodline has awakened. Tell them I will not be bred, and I will not be killed, and I will not bow to wolves who hunt my kind out of fear and greed. Marcus scrambled to his feet, all pretense of dignity abandoned. He was halfway to the door when he turned, and something ugly twisted his features. This isn't over, he snarled. The council will not let a Linares rise. We've exterminated your kind before. We'll do it again. Perhaps. Mia's silver markings flared brighter. Or perhaps the age of hunting us is over. Run home, little wolf. And pray you never face me again. He fled. The doors slammed shut behind him, and slowly, the compulsion holding the other wolves released. They rose, shaking, staring at Mia with expressions ranging from terror to wonder. She felt the shift coming before it happened, gentler this time, controlled. And when it was done, she stood human again, naked and trembling but somehow more whole than she'd ever been. Elena appeared with a blanket, wrapping it around her shoulders without a word. Damien was at her side in an instant, his hands cupping her face, his eyes bright with something she couldn't name. Mia. That was. I know. She swayed, exhaustion hitting her all at once. I don't know how I did that. I don't know what I am. You're extraordinary. He pressed his forehead to hers. You're mine. And I will spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of standing beside you. Over his shoulder, Mia met her mother's eyes. The woman was still on her knees, tears streaming down her face, looking at Mia like she'd never seen her before. Maybe she hadn't. Maybe none of them had. The council will come back, Mia said quietly. This isn't over. No. Damien pulled back, his expression hardening. But now they know what they're dealing with. Now they know that hunting you won't be easy. And now. He glanced around the room at his pack, at the Lawsons, at everyone who had witnessed what Mia became. Now, we have time to prepare. Mia nodded slowly. Her wolf, awake, powerful, furious, settled into her chest like it had always belonged there. The war was coming. But for the first time in her life, she wasn't facing it alone. Chapter 5. The moment Marcus fled, the room erupted. Wolves surged forward, some reaching for Mia like she was a holy relic, others backing away with fear written across their faces. Everyone was talking at once, shouting over each other, the noise building to a crescendo that made Mia's newly sensitive ears ring. The prophecy. Can't be real, the Linares died out. Did you see her eyes? She could command us all. Political suicide to harbor her. The moon goddess has returned. Enough. Damien's voice cut through the chaos, alpha power rippling outward. The room went silent. Everyone out. Now. Give her space. They obeyed, reluctantly, with backward glances that ranged from reverent to terrified, until only Damien, Elena, and Mia remained. And her family, still huddled in their corner, looking at her like they'd never seen her before. Because they hadn't. Not really. I need air. Mia's voice came out raw. I need to get out of here. She didn't wait for permission. She walked through the great room, through the foyer, out the massive front doors into the blinding white of Christmas morning. The cold hit her like a slap, but she barely felt it. Her wolf, awake, alert, thrumming with power she didn't understand, kept her warm from the inside. She walked until the house was just a glow behind her, until she was surrounded by nothing but snow-laden pines and silence. Then she stopped, pressed her back against a tree, and let herself fall apart. The tears came hot and fast, melting the snowflakes that landed on her cheeks. She cried for the 16-year-old girl who'd been told she was broken. For the woman who'd spent a decade believing it. For the life she'd built on a foundation of lies, now crumbled to nothing. She cried until she couldn't anymore. You'll freeze to death. Damien's voice came from somewhere to her left. She didn't startle, she'd known he was there, felt him following her through the trees like a warmth at her back. Wolves don't freeze. You're not used to being a wolf yet. He emerged from between two pines, moving slowly, giving her space. Your body doesn't know how to regulate itself. My body doesn't know how to do anything. She laughed, and it came out bitter. For days ago, I was a lonely human dreading the holidays. Now I'm apparently wolf royalty with a death sentence and a mate bond one didn't ask for. I don't even know who I am anymore. Damien stopped a few feet away, hands in his pockets, breath fogging in the cold air. Christmas lights from the estate twinkled distantly through the trees, turning the snow into a field of scattered stars. You're Mia, he said quietly. That hasn't changed. Everything has changed. Has it? He stepped closer. You're still the woman who told me off in an airport. Still the one who survived a decade alone and built a life from nothing. Still the person who was ready to sacrifice herself to protect people who don't deserve it. His eyes met hers. The wolf doesn't change who you are. It just shows you what was always there. Mia shook her head. You don't understand. All those wolves in there, some of them want to worship me. Some want to run. The council wants to kill me or breed me. My own family betrayed me to save themselves. And you. She gestured helplessly. You say I'm your mate, but what does that even mean? 4 days, Damien. We've known each other 4 days. I know. How can you be so calm about this? I'm not calm. For the first time, something cracked in his composure. I'm terrified. The moment I saw you in that airport, my wolf went feral. He wanted to claim you, protect you, tear apart anyone who looked at you wrong. I've spent the last 4 days fighting every instinct I have because I knew, that if I pushed too hard, I'd lose you. He ran a hand through his hair, and she saw his fingers trembling. The mate bond isn't a choice. I didn't ask for it any more than you did. But I can choose what I do with it. And what do you choose? To wait. He held her gaze. I'm not asking you to accept the bond today. Or this year. I'm not asking you to love me or trust me or believe in any of this. I'm just asking you to let me stand beside you while you figure out who you want to become. Mia stared at him. This powerful, terrifying, impossibly patient man who had upended her entire life. And if I figure out that I don't want this? Any of it? Something flickered in his expression. Pain, maybe. But his voice stayed steady. Then I'll let you go. It will probably destroy me, but I'll let you go. Because you're not a prize to be won or a possession to be kept. You're a person. And you deserve to choose your own path. The tears threatened again. Mia blinked them back. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just, don't run yet. Give yourself time to figure this out. She nodded slowly. It wasn't acceptance. It wasn't a promise. But it was something. They stood together in silence, watching the Christmas lights twinkle through the trees. She sensed her mother approaching before she saw her. Something in Mia's wolf recognized the bloodline connection, a thread she'd never known existed, now impossible to ignore. She stiffened, and Damien noticed immediately. Do you want me to stay? No. She took a breath. This is something I need to do alone. He squeezed her hand once before disappearing back toward the house. A moment later, her mother emerged from the tree line. Karen Lawson looked smaller somehow. Diminished. The woman who had loomed so large in Mia's nightmares was just a middle-aged wolf with red-rimmed eyes and hands that wouldn't stop shaking. I wasn't sure you'd let me find you, she said quietly. I wasn't sure either. They stood in awkward silence, a decade of pain stretching between them. Finally, her mother spoke. I watched you, you know. Every Christmas. Mia's heart stuttered. What? After you left, I couldn't stay away completely. I knew it was dangerous, knew I should let you go, but I couldn't. Her mother's voice cracked. Every Christmas Eve, I drove to Seattle. Sat outside your apartment building in my car. Just watched. Saw you come home from work. Saw the lights in your window. Sometimes I'd stay all night, just to be near you. I didn't know. You weren't supposed to. That was the whole point, keeping you separate, keeping you safe. She wiped her eyes with trembling hands. But I wanted you to know. Even when we weren't there, we never stopped loving you. We never stopped watching. The words hit Mia like a physical blow. All those Christmases she'd spent alone, grieving for a family she thought had forgotten her, her mother had been there. Just out of reach. That doesn't fix anything, she said, but her voice had lost some of its edge. I know. Her mother stepped closer. Nothing I say can fix what we did. We were wrong, not in trying to protect you, but in how we did it. We let you believe you were broken. We let you grieve alone. We chose our fear over your happiness, and that was. She broke off, tears streaming freely now. That was unforgivable. Then why are you here? What do you want from me? Nothing. The word came out raw. I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know the truth. All of it. Even the parts that make us look terrible. She reached out, then stopped herself, hand hovering in the space between them. We failed you, Mia. In every way that mattered, we failed you. And I will spend the rest of my life regretting it. Mia looked at her mother, really looked, and saw a woman who had been carrying her own weight of guilt and grief for a decade. It didn't excuse anything. It didn't make the pain disappear. But it was real, and it was honest, and that was more than she'd expected. I'm not ready to forgive you, Mia said quietly. I don't know if I ever will be. Her mother nodded, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. But I'm tired of carrying this. Mia took a shaky breath. The anger, the grief, the weight of your rejection, I've let it define me for 10 years. I'm done. So I'm not saying I forgive you. I'm saying, we can try. Slowly. Carefully. To build something new. Her mother's face crumpled with something that might have been relief. That's more than I deserve. Probably. Mia almost smiled. But it's Christmas. And apparently I'm full of surprises today. Her mother laughed through her tears, and for the first time in a decade, it didn't hurt to hear. The Christmas dinner was a strange affair. 60 wolves gathered in the estate's grand dining room, seated at tables laden with traditional holiday fare and enough food to feed an army. The mood was tense, too much had happened, too many power dynamics had shifted, but there was something else underneath. Something that felt almost like hope. Mia sat at the head table with Damien on one side and Elena on the other. Her family had been placed nearby but not too close, a careful arrangement that acknowledged their complicated relationship. Serena sat across the room with a group of younger wolves, catching Mia's eye occasionally with small nods of solidarity. The feast began without incident. Conversations gradually loosened as wine flowed and the warmth of the fire seeped into tired bones. Mia was starting to relax, starting to believe they might actually get through this day, when she saw Victor move. He'd been seated at the far end of the room, watched by several of Damien's most trusted wolves. But as the servers circulated with fresh wine glasses, he stood, walking casually toward the head table. His eyes met Mia's, and something cold slithered down her spine. A toast, Victor announced, lifting his glass. To our extraordinary guest. To the Linares reborn. The room went quiet. Wolves raised their glasses uncertainly. Victor's gaze never left Mia's as he extended a glass toward her, one the server had just set down. May your power bring us all what we deserve. Every instinct Mia had screamed danger. But before she could move, Serena was there. The younger woman moved with supernatural speed, smoothly intercepting the glass and replacing it with another. The switch was so subtle that most of the room missed it entirely. Father, Serena said sweetly, pressing the original glass into Victor's hand. You should lead the toast. It's only proper. Victor's face flickered, confusion, then dawning horror as he looked down at the glass in his hand. He knew. He knew what Serena had done. Drink, Elena said coldly, having noticed the switch. You called the toast. It would be rude not to finish it. The room held its breath. Victor's hand trembled. He could refuse, but that would be an admission of guilt. He could accuse Serena, but no one would believe him. He was trapped by his own machinations. He drank. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Victor's face went gray. He doubled over, clutching his stomach, and collapsed to the floor with a strangled cry. Chaos erupted once again, but controlled this time, directed. Damien's wolves seized Victor before he could hit the ground, pinning him as he convulsed and foamed at the mouth. Wolfsbane, the pack doctor announced, kneeling beside him. A concentrated dose. He'll survive, but barely. Damien stood, his expression carved from stone. Take him to the cells. He'll face judgment for attempted murder of my mate. As they dragged Victor away, Serena approached Mia quietly. I'm sorry, she murmured. I should have warned you he might try something. You saved my life. I chose my side. Serena's chin lifted. Whatever comes next, I'm with you. All the way. Mia nodded, something warm blooming in her chest. An ally. A real one. The dinner continued, subdued but somehow more united. The pack had witnessed Victor's treachery and Serena's loyalty. Lines had been drawn. Choices had been made. And through it all, Damien's hand found Mia's under the table, steady and warm. The celebration after dinner was quieter than Mia expected. Wolves gathered in the great room around the enormous Christmas tree, exchanging small gifts and quiet conversations. Children ran between adults' legs, and someone had started playing carols on an old piano in the corner. It was warm and intimate and nothing like the cold, lonely holidays Mia had grown used to. She found herself standing near the tree, watching the lights dance across the ornaments, when she felt Damien approach. "You've been quiet," he said. "I've been thinking." Dangerous pastime. She almost smiled. "Everyone keeps waiting for me to make some grand decision. Accept the mate bond or reject it. Claim my birthright or run from it. But I don't have any grand answers. No one expects you to figure everything out tonight. Don't they?" She gestured at the room. "Every wolf in here knows what I am now. They're all watching, waiting to see what I'll do." Damien was quiet for a moment. "What do you want to do?" The question stopped her. In all the chaos of the past 4 days, no one had asked her that. What she wanted. What she chose. Just her own desires, separate from prophecy and politics and power. "I want to try," she said finally. "That's all I know right now. I want to try, with you, with this pack, with my family. I want to see if I can be something other than broken. You were never broken. I know that now." She turned to face him. "I'm not ready for the full ceremony. I'm not ready to be your Luna or claim any title or make any promises I'm not sure I can keep. But I'm ready for the first step. Whatever that is." Damien's eyes blazed with something fierce and tender. "Are you sure?" "No." She laughed shakily. "But I'm tired of being sure. I'm tired of controlling everything because I'm terrified of what happens if I let go. So this is me, letting go. Choosing to try." He took her hand, and she let him lead her to the center of the room. The conversations died as wolves noticed them, all eyes turning toward the tree. Mia's heart hammered. She didn't know the ancient words. Didn't know the rituals or traditions or any of the things she should have learned as a child. But her wolf knew. The words rose from somewhere deep inside her, older than memory, carved into her very blood. "Before the moon and all who witness," she said, her voice clear and steady, "I acknowledge this bond. Not as completion, but as beginning. Not as promise, but as possibility. I choose to walk beside you, not behind, not ahead, while we discover what we might become." It wasn't the full ceremony. It wasn't a mating or a claiming or anything permanent. But it was a first step. A door opened. And when Damien's wolf rose to meet hers, when their spirits sang together for the first time, a harmony she'd never known she was missing, Mia felt something she hadn't experienced in longer than she could remember. Joy. Later, when the celebration had wound down and most of the pack had retired, Mia found herself on the balcony outside her room, watching the snow fall over the estate. The cold didn't touch her anymore. Her wolf kept her warm, a constant presence now instead of the void she'd grown used to. In the distance, she could see the forest where she'd run in her dreams, where she might run for real when she learned to control her shift. The future stretched ahead of her, terrifying and uncertain and full of enemies she couldn't yet imagine. But for the first time in her life, she wasn't dreading it. "Still wish you'd gotten on that plane?" Damien's voice came from behind her. She felt him wrap a blanket around her shoulders before joining her at the railing. "Ask me again next Christmas," she said. "I might have an answer by then." He laughed, low and warm, and pulled her closer. "I'll hold you to that." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the snow transform the world into something clean and new. Mia leaned into Damien's warmth and let herself believe, just for a moment, that everything might be okay. She had a pack. A possible mate. A terrifying power and enemies coming for her. But she also had something she'd never had before. Hope. In the distance, hidden among the snow-laden pines at the edge of the estate, a figure watched. The scout's eyes tracked the two silhouettes on the balcony, the Linares and her chosen alpha, wrapped in each other's arms like they had all the time in the world. Fools. They had no idea what was coming. The scout pulled out a secure communication device, fingers moving quickly over the keys. The Lunaris is real. Full manifestation confirmed. White wolf, silver markings, command presence. She has chosen the Cross Alpha. Mate bond initiated. The response came within seconds. Understood. Council convening. Prepare for war. The scout smiled, cold and sharp, before melting back into the shadows. In the distance, Christmas lights twinkled over the Cross estate. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. For now. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.